Christina's going to be helping me here with a slideshow that I did. So, right. So today's class is just going to be about, not so much the training, but what other things we can do to make sure that we're fully prepared for the work that you put in. So kind of like the fine tuning, right? You know, making sure you got good air pressure in your tires, that you've got fuel, you know. So we'll just go ahead and start the slideshow. What I have is I have some videos here. This is just a little bit about me. Right, I was born and raised here. My family was really supportive of running. My sister was a runner. I really wasn't that good when I started. I was kind of at the end of the pack. I was with the people who would walk and then sprint. And, but I really enjoyed running. Yeah, I enjoyed the fact that what you put into it, you get out of it. And then these are some of my PRs, which seems like a long time ago. I ended up running 2:23 for the marathon, 1:06 for the half. Because I remember, and still am, it was Team Hawaii in the Honolulu Chase. And then this year I traveled to Eton, Kenya, which is home of the champions, which is where this photo is taken, where, you know, that's their training facility, dirt track. This is a 17-year-old, and this is a 1:02 half marathoner. But I spent a month there, and I went there as a student to learn a lot about, you know, psychology, nutrition, and methodology. And then this year, I did win a Masters Championship in the 10,000 meters. So after going to Kenya, I kind of got a second life in my training and focusing on some goals, which really helped. So, and this is just a little video clip, a minute or two of my experience in Kenya, of what it's like being there. So this is like a group training run. That Christina's going to fast forward to. This is free and it's open to the public. Anybody can come. There's a guy who gets up, he basically says, this is what the workout's today. And it's just a dirt track. And, you know, I brought my camera and I wanted to see what it's like. It's a cruise, so it's, you know, I would say most of these runners are probably all sub 15-minute 5K runners. So the quality is like a real high quality. And, you know, there's women in the group. Not everybody does the whole workout. But this is one of the staples there in their training, maybe for the last 30 years. Fartlek training is something they do weekly as a group. And in thinking about maybe future training, it's something I definitely would recommend. It's something where time is important, but maybe your pace isn't as important as how you feel. You know, fartlek is an on and off running where you go fast and you go easy. I was able to get on a motorbike and I sat backwards and I filmed and I watched them do a whole workout. And it was really exciting. It's like a race, you know, every Thursday there's this going on. And you can see the terrain they're on, very uneven, you know, but a very natural way of training, a natural way of running. So, right, I just wanted to show you guys what one of my experiences was and kind of what it looks like. But it was really impressive. Like, a lot of these people are just almost nobodies in some ways, you know. They don't get to get out of Kenya, but if any of them came, they would, you know, just dominate. I mean, where was I in that group? Like, you can't even see where I was. So we'll go on to the next slide now. So right, more specifically what we're going to cover here, right? Nutrition, hydration considerations, and then also we'll be talking about some mental tools maybe you can use while you're in your run or in those hard spots. So these are just some guidelines, but this is something that I've been practicing and thinking about quite a bit. You can just pause that slide, right? 2 days before the race is kind of important. As a recommendation, 2 to 4 liters of water per day, right? That's 4 liters. That's a gallon of water. So, you know, we should all be probably drinking more water than we are, but I would definitely think about, you know, it's like a little bit of a ramp up to the race where thinking more about that hydration, right? You don't want to have too much to flush your system, but really making sure, I usually try to drink a 16-ounce glass of water, but I'll drink 6 or 8 of them the 2 days leading up before my long runs, so that I'm practicing what I'm doing, what I'll do in the race. And then carbo loading, right? You can load up not just the day before, but you can actually load up a few days before. I practice a few things where I've maybe taken more protein, cut my protein down, and then really am thinking about carbo loading the last 2 days. I usually like pasta, bread, really simple things. And in Kenya, that's something that their diet's really simple. Even the best marathoners really just kind of pay attention to carbo loading and maybe a little bit of protein. But I think one of the keys is you don't want to change too much of what already works for you, but just being aware of maybe adding a little more glycogen stores into your body. When you do a marathon, you're going to lose a lot of that extra weight just in the exercise. You can lose, a couple pounds, not just in water, but in the energy that's being consumed. So really, good sleep is important. I don't know, I often have trouble sometimes before a big race. My mind's playing games with me as far as how hard I'm about to do, or I'm going to miss the start, or what am I going to feel like at mile 20. Sometimes I will either find ways to help me rest or sleep better. A lot of times I'll actually use a little bit of melatonin to just make sure I get a deeper sleep, and it'll kind of knock me out, and it's not something I use all the time, but it's something that I maybe use as an aid. There's also, I think magnesium or something is relaxing, but it's something to maybe practice or try to make sure you're fully rested, because the night before is important, but also the night before that is really important. And one of the last things you want to make sure you don't do is that, I don't operate well off of 4 hours of sleep. So if I can get that 8 hours of sleep, I'm going to be better charged. My whole body's going to feel better. And then the night before, I definitely eat quite a bit the night before. Christina has seen before my long runs, I'll really load up my plate and load up on my pasta the night before a big long run, just to practice to make sure I feel good. And really, morning of, it's like showtime. I eat oats quite a bit. Oats works really well for me. I can have a cup of oats with banana. If I want a little extra energy, I'll add some honey. But it's slow burning, easy to digest, and it really works well for me. And then finally, I have here a sports drink mix. Something I've been experimenting with, which is also loading with a sports drink so that maybe I can kind of top off my glycogen stores before I go to the run. If you pay attention to these things, it's going to set you up so that you're kind of topped off with your energy stores, and then when you go into the race, it's a whole nother thing. So we'll go on to the next slide. But any questions? If you guys have any questions along at any point, sure.
What time are you eating on the morning of? Actually, yeah.
I think earlier is better. I've gotten up as early as like 3 to eat oats, but as long as I'm like an hour before, I know what I'll feel like. So, and you don't want to eat too much before. You also have to go to the restroom and bathroom. But an hour. If it's the day of the race, I'll probably be up anyways, because there's the logistics of getting to the race, or I want to make sure everything's ready. So maybe 2 hours before.
Gotcha.
But
then,
yeah.
Sorry, before I forget, I did have one other question. You said the night before, like you'll eat a bunch of pasta.
Yeah.
I'll eat a lot too.
But
I usually will eat to the point where I'm sick.
Yeah.
Like I'll eat too much.
Yep.
That's the amount we're talking about?
Not till you're sick, probably right before then. But kind of where it does.
I'm being serious though.
No, you want to, I kind of eat to the point where it feels like, I kind of get an extra serving, Yeah. But it takes time to digest that. But if it's the night before, you can digest it quite a bit. Also with the pasta, I try to stay away from too much acidity, in my stomach, because that's not really a good thing. So keeping it real simple helps. But I think the key is to experiment on your long runs and see what works, but just to be aware of it,
Okay.
No, it's fine. Oh, great. No, maybe we'll just go back a slide for Sarah. You haven't really missed too much. We started, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes ago. But I was just going over some pre-race guidelines of things to think about and consider, which is hydrating a little more, maybe 48 hours before, 2 to 4 liters. All this will be available to you online that you can go over. And carbo loading, good sleep, pasta, bread, and then I was telling them some of the things that work for me. Oats. Actually, Eliud Kipchoge, who just broke the 2-hour barrier in that project, they asked him what did he have, and he had oats before his marathon performance. So I'm a big fan of oats. Like, I actually will go to the point, like, even though like we're all going to Honolulu and it's like there's stores and everything there, I'll bring plastic bags with my oats and what I want so that I don't have to worry about looking for it there. I sometimes, in the last few races, I brought ugali, which is corn maize, which is masa. That's what they have in Kenya, and I'll carbo load on that the night before. Kind of comes out to that porridge, but I have no doubt that it works for my system. So it becomes sort of, I don't have to question how I'm going to feel the day of. And to me, that gives me a lot of confidence as far as I don't have to worry about that. So, it's something, you can get the instant oats, but I don't eat the instant oats, so I just bring a Ziploc bag with what I want. Now I even bring sugar or honey that I like. It's like, I don't want to mess with certain things, because I've been doing them so much. So the next thing we'll go over is something I think that concerns all of us, which is the wall, right? This is a lady I actually got to train with, and she lived in the same house with me in Flagstaff, Arizona. Her name is Kate Smythe, and she ended up running a 2:28 for the marathon. She's a runner who started late in her life. She watched the Olympics when she was, I think, in her 20s, and decided that's what I want to do, and gave up her job in finance. And I think she took almost like an hour off her marathon. So she went from about 3:30 to 2:28. And, which goes to show you, what's the potential we all have, I don't know. But this picture here, I think she's like, this is at the Commonwealth Games. She's on the track, I don't know, it's like 200, 300 meters to finish. And clearly she hit the wall and she had to be carried off the track. So, right, what is it? We'll go over next, but it's something that I think many of us, right, we're in Hawaii, hydration, humidity is a big factor. But I'll go over it in the next slide, which is some of the things that I've at least categorized. This is a picture in the background of this artist kind of depicting what the wall is like when you hit it. But these are some of the things that I think are some of the basics. Like your muscles are out of glycogen, right? You just run out of energy, right? That could be thinking more about loading than 2 days before, the night before, the morning of, also during the race, but being a little more aware of making sure you're really tapped off in your glycogen store. Muscle fatigue, right? Maybe you went down too fast, which is a problem I think we've all experienced at some level. I mean, where the emotions are good, you're feeling good, everybody's out there, and I think the majority of runners, probably about 95% of them, run positive splits. So it's easy to get swept up with like that idea that John was talking about, like I was paraphrasing, like money in the bank, right? Yeah. Like I'm putting it away for later, but as the interest on that is like can be exponential. So high pH, which is lactic acid, like how much lactic acid, that can be a combination of things, going up too hard, too fast, getting your heart rate up too high. Right? When you're saturated with lactic acid, basically your body's breaking down in its ability to use energy efficiently. And high pH can also be a result of not being hydrated well. So if you don't have enough water in your system, your blood acidity is going to go a lot higher. People at really high levels will actually take blood samples in their training to see where they are in their pH. If that's something going out too hard, too fast, or maybe not doing the proper training will get you to that high level. And once you're there, there's pretty much nothing you can do. John was talking about it, running those 11-minute miles, 10-minute miles. The only way you could actually lower your pH level would be to actually stop for about 5 minutes, and your body would lower it naturally. But that's going to cost you a lot of time. That puts you out there longer. And then mental collapse, right? Negative thoughts. That's something that kind of creeps in as maybe some of these other things are going on, and you start thinking about, what am I doing out here? I've had times where I'm like, you know what, I just want to roll over into the side of the bushes and pick me up later. But that's something where, right, we've all chosen to do this big challenge of the marathon, so it shouldn't be a surprise that there's going to be some negative thoughts. And a big part of it, which I'll go over later, is what kind of tools can we use or practice to kind of keep us in the right mindset, because that really can help. Right, if your pH or your muscles are fatigued, you're out of glycogen, you still need to be positive, but these things can really make it extremely difficult. So the last thing is a combination of all of them. And finally, these are all avoidable, right? Maybe not going out too fast, which is a little bit of faith of I'd rather have that, put that money in the bank later. So we'll go on to the next slide here. Kipchoge is an amazing athlete. I've learned a lot from just watching what he's done and his training, but these are race guidelines. They're not for all of us, right? Most of us are out there longer, but most elite marathoners will drink 0.6 to 1.5 liters during the run. Kipchoge, they measure his water bottles after, and they put them on a scale after, so they know exactly how much he's taking. They're very aware of it, and so it's precise of what they're doing. And then energy per hour. You can have almost more than 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates. You can have up to 90 to 100 grams of carbohydrates, but 40 to 60 grams is a lot of energy. How you take that energy is going to be a limiting factor, right? I did some long runs with Snickers. It's grams of carbohydrates, but it's not really that easy to digest, and it's not that good for my system. And then here I have some strategies, right? Patience pays, negative splits. If you look at some of the best performances in the world, Kipchoge has shown even splits is probably the best way to get the biggest results, or a slight negative split. And that's something that really takes a lot of patience, because most of us are impatient, I think, in that first 3 to 10 or 3 miles to 6 miles, and it kind of gets us in trouble. And it's like either we're thinking about our time and just wanting to get going, but having John was talking about it, having a little more patience, maybe it's with the crowd, maybe it's with everything around you, really pays off. Most people do not negative split. I mean, if we were to look at the Honolulu Marathon, I'm pretty sure less than 5%. The guys who win, the women who run the best times, most of them are doing negative splits. Listening to your body, right? A lot of us pay attention to our watch, and the watch will help you and give you kind of an outline and guideline, but I think there's no better feedback than your body. When I think about some of my long runs, sometimes I'll break it into quarters, and I'll just be like, does this feel easy the first quarter? And if it doesn't feel easy, I already know that I'm probably going to get in trouble at the end. So I try to break my long runs into easy, moderate, fast, and then fast at the end. So if I can have that general guideline of a feeling, and I'm feeling fast at the end, I know I'm doing the right thing, and I can try to execute that in a marathon. Even though I'm telling you all these things, I've messed up on many marathons, and I've gone down the wrong road. So I'm still like all of you in the learning process. And right, easy is a feeling, right? You might look at a watch and say, "Oh, this is easy," but easy is something that if you listen to the feedback in your body, it's a feeling. The times, if it's wet, it's windy, it's uphill, you might think you're running easy, but it doesn't feel easy. It's not easy. So being really aware of that. And right, if anybody has any questions along at any point, feel free to ask me anything. And we'll go on. So this is something that these are some things that I've created for myself and that I have for other people. And I think it's really paid off a lot for me, especially this year. And I think it's something that we can all do a little better job at. But getting organized and getting disciplined can really help you with more confidence when it comes to race day. So I'll have Christina open this nutrition plan. And this is something that I just created in Excel. And this is what I like to plan things ahead. And I just started doing this for this, which is what I want to do for my long runs. So this was 2 weeks ago, I did a 40K. And which is the 48 hours before, I set out just what I'm telling you guys. Hey, can I drink 2 to 4 liters? What I ended up doing was about 3 liters, especially the day before. And then this is how much water I wanted to try to consume. Christina usually follows me on the bike. Sometimes I put out water there. And then I end up drinking about 1.2 liters. So, you know, and then this is my plan for preloading. PM pasta, morning oats. And then I had a mixed drink. And then this is what I took during the run. This is how many calories I took during the run. And then this is how whether I executed or not, my time. This is the post-run, which I always have like chocolate milk, which has protein. And I try to drink 1 liter of water within an hour. And then just basically some of my notes of it. And it makes it easy because it's like, I just have one long run every week. You know, Day of Hope was last week, so I didn't do a long run. And, you know, if I have any questions, I'll just go look back and see what works and see maybe I should make some changes. But it's really helped me so that when I have race day here, you know, I have to change a few things. I can't take mixed drinks or anything, but I'll be taking 4 gels of 400 calories, so it's more energy than I'll have in any of my training runs. And I'll probably take some chocolate milk afterwards and drink 1 liter of water, where it's like, I kind of know what I'm getting myself into by just putting it out there in my training. And then I can know, hey, does this work in my run? And if not, I maybe can make some changes. So, and then we'll go back to the slides. This is something I put out. I know John doesn't have much training structure. He just runs. Maybe we'll open Eliud Kipchoge's first. But I set this stuff up well in advance, and then I just kind of execute it. So this is Eliud Kipchoge, right, the fastest man in the world. And what's kind of amazing here is this is, I think, 10 weeks of his training. That's all the training he has set out for 10 weeks before he won the London Marathon, ran 2:03. And it follows a real simple pattern. And it's something that he trains with like 50 guys. This pattern is just, it works well. It's a pattern that I'm sticking to, which is he has basically either speed work, endurance work, and a long run. And he modulates his long runs, 40K, 40K, 30K, 40K. The times are ridiculous, right? He's doing a 40K here at like 7,000 feet. On dirt roads at 316 per kilometer, which I think comes out to 525 per mile or something. But what's interesting about these runs, when you look at them in detail, he's executing that easy, moderate, fast, or easy, moderate, fast, fast. He's basically doing a negative split in all his long runs. And it's something I've changed in my training. Here in the West, unlike in Kenya, nobody does tempo runs there. It's something that we've adapted here, and we people, it works obviously, but in Kenya, I don't know if it's the terrain or the culture, they really focus on that negative split progression run, which I think really helps you in your race plan. So what I like about his training is that it's just real simple. You know, there's not much, it's something that anybody could kind of read and interpret. So we'll look at my training, which I think is up here. This is what I try to copy. You know, I have this block of training building up to this, and then I just write notes. But this will be shared with all you guys, so you guys will have access to this if you want to think about maybe your next time you run, or I think that one of the big takeaways here is that keep it simple, add some variation, work on progression runs. So We'll go back to the slideshow. Any questions on this? This is a whole class in itself, which is preparing and training plans. And I don't know, maybe we'll watch all of this. We'll watch some of this. What we're talking about, hydration and energy. This is Kipchoge running the London Marathon. So the training that I showed you, and this is basically just him drinking and taking gels, but it's very systematic in what he's doing, and he never hits the wall in his marathon. I've never seen him kind of fall apart. The nice thing for him is he only has to run for 2 hours to run a marathon. Yeah. So it's a whole different amount of yeah. It's easier. It's harder to get there, but it's definitely easier. And in these races, he kind of has to do what we have to do in some ways. He has to take water, energy, and stops. But he's taking it consistently, and his bike guy is super excited. He has a bike guy who just follows him. A lot of times he has to pick up the bottle and weigh how much at the end, his hydration. But the main thing here is that he's hydrating and he's fueling throughout the race,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the great thing to watch about him is he keeps his composure the whole time and he's really relaxed, which
not really, he's chilling.
But he's running, 440 miles here or something.
Oh, look at that. It's so smart. It's like strapped to his body.
Yeah.
The gel, is it?
And if you actually added up how much energy he's consuming, even though he's just doing it 2 hours, he's probably consuming 500 calories or so, which is a decent amount of energy. So I think that's good on this. So this bike is working hard.
Yes, got it.
Give that guy a job.
An e-bike or something, So, talking about energy for the race, this is what I use. I don't work for Morton. I'm not associated with them. It's something I've just tried and experimented with in the last, month. Kipchoge's been using it a couple times, and I noticed the winner of the Ironman used it. It's something different. If you don't take this, you can still be successful. This is just, once again, like icing on the cake. However, this is something that is different. So most gels are just basically in a syrup and a sugar, and the hardest problem with taking a lot of energy on is your intestines absorbing the amount of energy. When you take processed sugars, it's actually a strain on your system. It's not very, and when you're working hard, the last thing you want is to strain your intestine system. What Morton gel is, it's a hydrogel. And what I'll have here, actually, we can try some. I brought some for you guys to try. I bought it directly from the website. It basically has no colors, no flavor.
Yeah. All right. There's your good gel.
It's kind of like a
Jello.
yeah. This is available on the website. Actually, it's like a who's who of running uses this gel. Mofar.
Nice.
I like it. Yeah, it's nice. It's different than any gel I've ever had.
Yeah, I've had negative experiences with a lot of gels.
Yeah. Stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, sweet.
This is basically.
I thought it was gonna be like tasteless. Yeah.
This is basically just pure energy, is what it is.
Because the mix tastes similar. The drink mix.
Yeah.
It's
When,
similar
I mean, I guess I thought it was like gonna taste like nothing.
Yeah.
So I was like,
So, right, in my nutrition plan, I have planned to take 4 of those gels with me. I can't take water bottles. I have the mix too, so I'm gonna load with the mix as well. But I do like it because in my long runs, it's just not had much strain on my stomach. And it's something where it's like, just keeping, like I said before, it's like keeping those glycogen stores high. Muscle fatigue is one thing. Once you run out of energy, you're really in trouble. It takes a while to keep your energy. Once you're at deficit, it really takes a lot of time to get back into positive. So what's different about it is it's this biopolymer matrix. It's basically seaweed and pectin, and it neutralizes with your stomach pH. And it's something that was just created in 2015. A lot of people with the sub 2 hour project were so concerned with the shoes and how advantageous the Nike Next Percent were. And I think it's unfortunate that some people don't talk about also the science and technology that's going on in energy and gels. Energy and gels is like a multi-billion-dollar business. There's really nothing like this right now. So we'll go ahead. I have a video from Morton, from their head nutritionalist. And this video also, I think, helps explain about energy consumption. So while it's promoting their product, he's also explaining what we've learned about how much energy we can take. So he's the head nutritionalist with Morton.
Hi, my name is Tobias Christensen, and I am the sports nutritionist at Morton. In 2015, we found a way to improve sports fuels. The innovation was so successful that most of the world's best endurance athletes are using our technology. And the results, they speak for themselves. The harder we push ourselves, the more energy we need. However, our body's ability to store carbohydrates are limited. For that reason, the consumption of carbohydrates during hard physical activity is essential and can therefore improve performance. Recent studies have shown that our bodies can make use of up to 90 grams of carbohydrates per hour. That's a lot of energy for the body, and our stomachs don't usually cope well with such high amounts of carbohydrates while running or cycling. But this is changing. Through an innovative use of hydrogel technology, we have discovered a more effective way to fuel the body by encapsulating the carbohydrates. A key component is natural alginate extracted from seaweed. This dietary fiber is used to create a protective hydrogel structure with the ability to carry salt and carbohydrates all the way down to the intestine. This is where the hydrogel dissolves and the body can absorb the carbohydrates. With the use of hydrogel technology, we have been able to increase the amount of carbohydrates and reduce risk of stomach problems that often arise when consuming traditional sport drinks. Morton's first product is Morton Drink Mix. To suit different needs in terms of energy and hydration, Morton Drink Mix has been created in 2 different concentrations. The Drink Mix 160 contains 40 grams of carbohydrates, while the Drink Mix 320 contains 80 grams of carbohydrate, which is almost the double amount of energy ever thought possible in a sports drink. They both mix with 500 milliliters of water and contain no added flavor, no colorants, preservatives, or acids. The mix forms a pH-sensitive liquid that after intake converts to a hydrogel in the acidity of the stomach. The amount of carbohydrates needed varies depending on several factors. One of them is exercise duration. For example, if you plan to run or cycle for 60 minutes or less, the suggested intake is up to 40 grams of carbohydrates at the start of the physical activity. For longer sessions, less than 2 hours, the recommended intake is about 80 grams of carbohydrates. For sessions lasting longer than 2 hours, you should aim to intake about 80 grams of carbohydrates every hour while doing physical activity. The choice of which Morton product to use for each duration should be based on your hydration strategy. For example, you can either ingest 1 drink mix 320 per hour or drink 2 drink mix 160 per hour. Morton can also be used as a carbo loader before competitions. An easy and simple way is to drink 1 drink mix 320 the day before a race. After a race or a hard training session, the body needs carbohydrates to accomplish an effective recovery. Our suggestion is to intake 1 drink mix 320 within 30 minutes after a session has ended. If you wish to know more about Morton and our products, please visit morton.com or contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.
This company is growing really quickly, but it's, whether you take this product or not, it's good to think about how much energy you can take and that you can actually consume quite a bit of energy.
He said something that I thought was weird. For like a 1 hour workout, he's saying drink 40 grams prior to the start of, like I don't usually take anything for 1 hour, but is that right? He's saying like literally like drink that, like.
That's what I did this morning. I had the
How
one.
did it feel?
It felt fine. Like I had a half hour before I ran.
Yeah, and the key is like, I think that you don't really need to load that much, but you do want to be capped off that much because the energy demands aren't that much for that duration. But you might have more energy at the end of that 1 hour workout.
So let's say you're running a marathon and you're using their product.
Yeah.
What is your game plan?
Yours. My game plan, here, we'll go up to this one up here. And actually what I've already done is, can you grab that bag out of there? I already set aside what I want to have there. So that bag is already marked for Honolulu Marathon.
Nice.
I'm gonna, next is to have my oats and everything. But, sorry, this one. Race day, pasta, and then I'm gonna have some of the sports drink the night before.
Gotcha.
And then in the morning I'll have oats, and I'll load with more of the sports drink. And then I'll just be taking the gels because I
can.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna do like every 6 miles or something?
Every 10K.
Every 10K, yeah.
Which I'll still be under the, right, this is calories, it's not grams, but I'll be under that 80 grams of carbohydrates an hour. I'll probably be more like 60. That's more energy than I've taken in a...
The gel that we just had.
Yeah.
So you're saying every 10K on race day,
yeah,
and 2 of those drinks, 1 in the morning and 1 in the night before.
Yeah, and then what I don't have here, but I'll probably, I might take a drink to recover as well and have chocolate milk for protein, plus hydration, and then maybe a beer later. But
it says 160.
That's just the mix. That's the type of.
I forget what he was saying, but what is the 160? Is that the 40?
If you open that bag,
40 grams, I think.
Yeah.
40.
It's 160 calories.
So you stop at a water station after an hour and you're putting your mix.
No, I would just be taking the hydrogel that you have.
Yeah.
And then I'll be taking water throughout the race, just cups of water.
So you don't even need Gatorade at that point, right?
No.
Like during the race, you just want to take that gel.
Gatorade probably pretty well.
Yeah.
That's my problem. If you mix, you go, oh, too much Gatorade.
Yeah.
Man.
Simple.
Does the opposite, it crashes you.
Yeah,
Like
your stomach.
I never drink soda, and I haven't for a while. But I remember I didn't for a while, and I had one, and it didn't feel good. Like it felt a negative on me, and even the Gatorade, I think, can have that effect. And that's kind of what they're talking about. Is like you can take on a lot of energy, but your body can't necessarily.
So your first bottle that you're carrying the bottle with you?
No, I'm just gonna an hour before.
Okay.
I'm gonna carbo load.
You're going to drink one of those.
Yeah.
An hour before.
Yeah.
And you're not carrying any bottle.
No.
So what if I do carry a bottle?
Then you could have.
Because that's like a security blanket. For me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is good, especially, if you're carrying a bottle, you could actually have another mix with you, and at the halfway point, mix it with water at an aid station, and know that you'll have a good energy that's like, if you, I'm practicing with it, so it's
Yeah.
But you could have a different strategy than I am. I won't have much time at the aid station, so I'll just be
could be longer, of course.
But I think the key takeaway though is that with better energy at the end of your race, you can get to the finish quicker.
Yeah.
So, that's the big plus.
Yeah.
So that 80 grams an hour, that's like 320 calories an hour. That's a lot of fuel to take in. Wait, not saying you have to.
Yeah.
But sometimes to strategize and then you get halfway through, you just, like I had gels that I just couldn't eat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just blew it.
Yeah.
Because then.
Yeah, then it's like you're out of energy.
Yeah.
This one is so neutral on my body that I know I can just take it's like taking Jello, and it's like, I don't feel any strain. So, I really think it is a game changer. And if you actually look at the list of people who are using this now, it is the who's who of distance running, and cycling and Ironman, and they've had such a demand for their product that they've created a unsponsored brand of it where it has no packaging, so that athletes who are sponsored by other companies can still take their product without overlapping in their contract. So it's something, right? I like it, I use it, but if anything, be more aware of that energy consumption throughout your race and what you're taking, how often you're taking it, and practice it, So we'll keep going here. Right, and now kind of the mental part of it, right? That's the science of nutrition, hydration. But this plays probably as much of a role. What you're capable of mentally is much greater than most of us think we are. But remember why you are running and why you're doing this, right? It's a journey that we've all selected to do, and sometimes I think we often forget about it, especially in those harder points. But go to the next slide here. So something that I use in my training runs, and I definitely use it in my races, is have a mantra, right? And this is something I gave a lecture on at cross country camp, which is perception is reality. How you perceive the world is no different than reality, right? If I see that wall is blue, that wall is blue, even though you guys can argue with me. And these are some of the basic things that I use or have used, right? Number one is, like when we're kids, that little engine that could. I know I can. It's just being out there and having that as a mantra. I've used this in the last race. It's something Kipchoge, it's become his sort of slogan of why he runs, which is no human is limited. I'm not limited. And it's an idea of like, don't limit yourself once you start a race or once you start going. A lot of times we put limits on ourselves, and if you can think about not having a limit, who knows what you're capable of doing? Maybe it's feeling good and running a negative split, Maybe, we're not all gonna run 2-hour marathons, but having that as a mantra, I'll start races and it just keeps me positive because it's a positive self-reinforcement. This is a slogan from one of the top coaches out of Kenya, and it's the idea of thinking fast. And I've done workouts or races where I go through it, right? F is for focus. Are you focused? Are you thinking about what you're doing? Are you present? A is for alignment. Am I running a good straight line? Am I not crossing over? Am I, is my body in the direction I want to be going? Strength is, do I feel like I'm strong on the ground when I push off? Do I feel like my posture is in a powerful position? And timing, which is, what do I sound like? Is my timing, right? You were talking about at the end of your race, some of those elements of just hearing your feet. You can hear it when you're starting, and you hear it when you're at the end. That's the music you're making. And at the end, it'll be like, but if you can be aware of it and just be like, what? I have good timing. So sometimes I just go through that. Am I focused? It's a little reality check. Am I aligned? Am I strong? And then I'm thinking fast. So it's a nice mantra to have. And counting. Something Paula Radcliffe, she had the world record for the marathon. I practice, it's like meditation. It's a way for me to think about my breathing and to slow things down, is I'll just count to 100. And it keeps me not worried about anything else because you can't have too much in your mind while you're counting. In some ways, when I get to 100, I feel happy. I feel like I've done something just because I've gotten to 100. So I've had long runs where I've counted to 2,500, and it's just, I'm in a zone of just like, I'm aware of my breathing. And when I count, the slower I count, the more I find I relax. The more I find I'm not rushing through things and that I'm keeping things nice and controlled. This is something I think, especially in this group here, and I work on it daily sometimes, your arms lean and head down. A lot of us, as we get tired, we start to pull up, and getting our head up will kind of force us to get our heel down. If you look at the top runners, their arms are compact. So something, once you start getting fatigued, the arms drop. Keeping your arms from hip to heart and close, like just right here, can save you a lot of energy. You don't want to be using your arms as you're fatiguing. That's just your shoulder, bicep. So keeping your arms hip to heart, close, and having a lean, right? Running is kind of the act of catching yourself as you're falling. So if you can put a little bit of lean into your run, you can use that momentum and keep up that momentum. The head position determines a lot of that lean. So as that head comes up behind your shoulders, you're not going to have lean, and you're going to end up being more of a heel striker. It's going to go to your lower back. It's going to cause, you're just stopping the momentum you have. So a lot of times I think, is my shin in front of my chest, and is it ahead of my shoulders? I don't want to be like this because that's straining my back, but can I have kind of like a slight lean and just fall with the run? And then finally, embrace the discomfort, right? It's going to hurt when you go into those last stages. It's not going to be easy. If you accept that as part of it, it's not going to be a surprise, and you kind of deal with it mentally a lot better than if you're like, oh my God, this hurts, this is awful. So it's hard, And right, post-race, feed your body. As much as you spend attention into what you do going into the run, think about what you're doing out of it. If you want to recover, if you want to feel good, if you want to make it a positive experience, it's not just fueling during the race, but after. And these are not scientific, these are some of the guidelines I follow, which is trying to get a 1 liter of water within 1 hour, just to counter dehydration, because you most likely, even if you hydrate the whole time. So I'm kind of aware of like the color of my urine and making sure I don't get it too yellow. And if in the afternoon, after a long run, I'm hydrated, I'm going to recover quicker. I'll be able to get back into training. Protein, this is a general guideline. After any strenuous activity, lifting, especially something like a marathon, the first 30 minutes is the window that you really want to shoot for, where your body is like a sponge. It'll absorb, especially protein, to help build the muscles back from all the damage that you've done. So chocolate milk is what some of the IAF and people recommend. It's got, I just usually get chocolate milk like this. What does this has? 8 grams of proteins. The chocolate has antibiotics. It's like a little treat for myself, and I know I like it. And what I have, enjoy and reward yourself, do something that you really like. If you don't drink soda, you like soda, maybe that's the time to have a soda. Maybe you're not going to feel that good from it, but it's nice to reward yourself for the effort that you've done. And something that's really important, I think, that we often don't take enough time, which is no matter what, whatever you did probably could have been done better. So learn from some of those mistakes. If you went out too fast, accept it and say, you know what, I can make a correction next time. I don't have to do that again. The more you can learn from those mistakes, it means next time maybe you can have a better experience or set yourself up for more personal success. And then I often find myself thinking about what my next goal is within a week or two. Something I didn't cover here, which is in orange, which I think a lot of people have trouble doing, is thinking about taking time off. And people like Eliud Kipchoge, he might do some easy runs right after, but he'll take usually 3 weeks off of no running and really let the body go into a whole process of recovery. You don't get full recovery from taking a couple of days off. So if this marathon is a big thing for you guys, taking a rest should be just equally as big. And then getting back into training, you're going to be a lot fresher. Maybe you put on some weight, maybe you've lost some things, but your body will be much more recovered. So, and then here's kind of wrapping things up, right? I had a coach when I went to Oregon, and he, Martin Smith, plan your race, race your plan. Have a plan of what you want to do out there and just execute the plan. visualize the type of race you want to have. Focus on how you want to feel, and mistakes are a learning opportunity. So, kind of thinking about it in a holistic approach, visualizing, thinking about, I'm going to be hurting at mile 20, 22, but what am I going to do? I'm going to work on maybe my posture, my form. And this is something that I've learned over the years. Your time is a result, not the focus, right? If you execute a great race, you're probably going to run as close as you can to your potential and your time. If you focus solely on time, you can get into trouble. I kind of let time be a surprise. I usually am fine-tuned into what I'm capable from my training. Often my training will give me an idea of what I'm capable of, but that's sort of I don't train to run a certain time. I see what my training indicates where I am at, and then I try to put together a good race plan based on how my training has done. And practice your race plan, right? That's something I was kind of talking about throughout this whole slideshow is nutrition and hydration. There's still time now for you guys to test out what works best for you. So you can make some corrections, whether it's thinking a little bit more about carbo loading the 2 days before, the day before. What else did I talk about? Melatonin to help you sleep deeper or recover. Hydrating and eating afterwards. And then thinking about how can I be more conscious of what I'm doing during that long run so that it's not a big shock or surprise of what you're doing. Anybody have any questions right now? And then I have just one last slide here. This is 2 years ago, the winners of Honolulu. Which, right, running is a journey, right? Enjoy the journey. It's not easy, it's hard sometimes, it's a mix. So when I was in Kenya, I watched, this is a short video I made of just kids running to school, and which I think kind of brings back to the idea of it's something really simple. It's something that we get to do because we choose it. Some of these kids, that's fine. This is how they get to school. They have their backpacks. I was kind of shocked about, kids run to school there. For them, it literally is a journey, These are some kids that you're going to give them candy, or we were like. But kind of everywhere we went, there was just kids running with us, And a lot of them seem to enjoy it. This guy's got a huge backpack, I wish I could bring some high schoolers there to show how much these kids don't take it for granted. They wave at you. This is a high school I went to, and I got to run a practice with them, and they were just all so excited to run, which is the big takeaway here, right? Enjoy the journey. It's as long as the marathon is, it's over before you know it, and if you don't get ahead of yourself and you just try to enjoy every part of it, the hard parts, the easy part, I think you'll come back and want to do more of it, which is probably the most important thing. These girls weren't wearing the skirts, almost all the girls had shaved heads. These kids we saw multiple times, just having fun, and that's probably the most important thing. Is when you get into a rough spot, when you're at the end of the run, maybe think about just smiling, and just smiling will help you relax and get you in a much better state, They get their heels up. It's like. And this is all at 7,800 feet, It's
So crazy.
I think this is about to end. So, there's some barefoot running. This kid is carrying a water jug. These kids were taking care of their farm animals. But something I definitely got from Kenya is as hard as running is, people just really, really enjoy it. So, there's no reason why we can't do that as well. So, yeah, I think that's the end.
Thanks.
Yeah.